We're at the Netball Nationals in Adelaide, and this is the semi-final between Victoria and Tasmania. Hello, I'm Steve Rebillard for ABC Sport. Welcome to Etsa Park, where the Nationals have been underway since Tuesday. Well, we'll get a look at the second semi-final in just a moment, but let's bring you up to date with what happened in the first. And earlier this evening, the host state took on New South Wales and got home by 60-53 in a torrid match. So South Australia to play the winner of tonight's game in tomorrow's final. So our eyes turn now to the rather surprising-looking second semi-final, but it's great to see the Tasmanians getting through to play the Vics. They've injected the unexpected, getting there ahead of Western Australia and Queensland. But Anne Sargent, is this as far as they go?
Well, Steve, far be it for me to stop them when they're on a roll. They certainly provided one of the highlights of the Nationals to date with a magnificent 2-goal win over West yesterday. And, of course, they sent everybody running to the record books to see when last, if ever, they've made the playoffs since it's been an 8-team competition. They've had solid losses to New South Wales and South Australia, but good wins over the ACT and yesterday, as we said, against West. And they bring to this competition a new measure of experience. They've been playing in the Victorian State League competition this year, so they'll know their opponents well. But in answer to your question, you have to go with Victoria, with the measure of experience they can put on court. So I predict a Victorian win, but it's great to see the Tassie girls there.
Let's look at the lineups, and there are plenty of familiar faces in this Victorian line. Abby Tier and Jocelyn Bryant are the goalers. Australian wing attack Shelley O'Donnell is captain, with Susan Howie and Melanie Vivian making up the mid-court ahead of Anne Harrison and Janine Illich. Belinda Vinan and Heather Noblet are the Tasmanian circle defenders. Heather, an import living in Sydney, originally from Adelaide. In the mid-court, Natasha Chocolate, Tracy Bullman and Fiona Doran, who had some time with the Adelaide Ravens. Up front, Olivia Beveridge and Danielle Howell. Victoria start the game in possession then in the dark blue, and straight away an intercept for Tasmania, and they'll be looking to settle what must be quite a few nerves as early as they can.
Oh, it was a huge moment for Tasmania, a place in this semi-final. They finished 7th last year, so it's a big increase for them.
A glimpse of Donna Davey on the far side. We've got Jackie Jashari on this side umpiring this semi-final. And Tasmania away first. Open
the ledger. Another one for the record books.
Yes, their highest placing in the 8-team Nationals was 6th in 1993 in Darwin. Team officials think that, you know, if you go back far enough, when there were fewer teams in, they may have finished higher than that, but this is a great tournament for them. Jocelyn Bryant levels things at 1 apiece after a minute's play. O'Donnell, Tier, and Southby we've got on the bench, and Eloise Southby has been unwell all week, but might get on in the second half today. And Bryant gets the closer shot and has the height in that circle.
That's the decision, Steve, that faces Victorian coach Jane Saul, whether to be confident enough to assume the win and rest players for tomorrow's final, or whether to give, particularly in the case of Eloise Southby, some exposure to the competition, because, as you say, she hasn't played as yet.
That's Donna Davey. Jashari working on this side. Howie, Melanie Vivian, Bryant, and Tier just out of the circle.
McMahon and McInnes, great losses to this Victorian side that would have really given it some pretty classy credentials. Of course, both members of Australia's Commonwealth Games gold medal side.
Strong rebound from Vinan. And away they come. Doran looking for Howell. That's, Olivia Beveridge. And a nice goal for Tasmania there, second, 2-all. And you mentioned, Anne, how Tasmania benefiting from State League experience in Victoria. They finished 7th this year, 11th last year, and they really feel they're on the move. And the results here certainly bear that out.
Well, so important that you're able to mix it in elite company, and the Victorian State League really giving that opportunity for Tasmania. So a smart move there for their top players. Something too, I think, that disadvantages Western Australia so often, that they, the tyranny of distance really keeps them away from mixing frequently with the other states. Oh, a swisher for Danielle Howell.
So Tasmania keeping pace with Victoria early, as they must do. Howie, Tier and Bryant on the fly. the brakes on, doesn't put it through. A couple of slightly tentative shots from Jocelyn first up, but we saw her with, what, 80% stats through the National League.
O'Brien, a tremendously accurate shooter, but we often see her coming from the bench or being intermingled with Southby and McMahon when they're in a Victorian lineup. This team, though, she has the measure of responsibility, so they'll be looking to her to command the circle. Abby Tier, a young player coming through, is at the Australian Institute of Sport, but still lacks the experience of Bryant.
Illich has it for Victoria, and Harrison.
Also a step up for young Anne Harrison at goal defence for Victoria. We saw her with the matches for the Melbourne Phoenix this year with Lizzie Taverner on the injured list. And out at goal defence, a great deal of responsibility for her too. So some youth coming through this Victorian side, the changing of the guard perhaps.
Bullman centre pass, Doran.
Just thinking, Steve, a question mark over Nicole Cusack coming into Nationals. Of course, she played for the Kestrels through the National League and is a Sydney girl. So the question was, where would she turn up, if at all, for Nationals? And she answered that by not being available to play. That would have been a nice addition for either Victoria or New South Wales.
Another one for Beveridge, 4 all, and 4.5 minutes gone. So a pretty steady start from both teams, and not too much panic or frantic pace out there. Tier. Bryant did well to keep it in. Tier again with a sure left hand this time.
Tasmania giving away precious height to Victoria. When you look down the court, they don't have the height in any pairing out there.
5 minutes gone then, and the Vicks a chance to take a 2-goal lead. With possession here, Howie surely back into Tier.
Good vision then from Susan Howie to pick up the offer from Abby Tier.
Tier to Bryant, touched out by Heather Noblet. Heather, second year turning up for Tasmania. Played for Cougars in South Australia before moving to Sydney. And has been playing for Bankstown.
Yeah, she's been playing State League Division 1 for Bankstown this season. And well-travelled state to state.
75% early for Abby Tier. Bryant 4 from 7. 2.5 to go in the first quarter, and it's 17-8 now. A high-scoring first quarter from Victoria, and they've kept the reins on Tasmania. Donna Davey sets the pass. A little fortunate to get it was Howell. And 17-9.
Danny Howell has now lifted to 50% with 3 from 6, but still a worrying sign in goals for Tasmania. Just looking, Steve, at Tasmania's results against New South Wales and South Australia, which should give us some sort of benchmark for how Victoria is operating. Against New South Wales, the loss was 27-81, and against South Australia, 40-85. Of course, different players taking the court on different days, but the margin, in the vicinity of 30-40 plus.
Doran, Bullman, Howell, and Beveridge. That's a better passage of play for Tasmania, and well finished too.
Beveridge in great form for Tasmania, 7 from 8.
Howie straight to Tier.
Howell offloads nicely to Olivia Beveridge, who's been in great form for Tasmania.
Another one for Victoria meanwhile, 19-10. And Noblet's pass, not taken. A minute to go in the first quarter. And Victoria looking to take a ratio of 2-1 goals into the first break. They're sitting on 19-10. Tier, Howie. And in the last 5 or 6 minutes, they haven't missed too many, having got down here. Howie, O'Donnell, and Tier.
Well, Victoria forced to play that around for a while, but there were plenty of open spaces for them, so there's not a great deal of pressure on the Victorian attack line early in this match. And whilst they did play it, I think there are opportunities to plug it earlier had they wanted to.
Bryant offloads to Tier. And a handy little run on for Victoria, giving them an extra bit of breathing space as the timekeeper gets up. Tasmania in a hurry to get it down there.
Testing out the shatterproof glass.
But they don't get an effective shot away, and it's a good first quarter for the favourites Victoria. Plenty of work for Tasmania to do as the Victorians go to the first break, leaders 21-10.
I'm sure the defenders would have done their homework on that. Certainly something coaches send them out to have a look at during the rounds.
Doran. Howell. Is there other? The left hand of Howell.
Oh, thinks about it.
And a good rebound to get. And they leave Howell to work away in closer. It's another miss. And this time Harrison makes sure of a Victorian rebound.
Well, with those two misses, Howell's dropped now to 3 from 8. So again, don't mean to harp on it, but it's not a stat that will carry them through the game well. I am harping on it.
Give the girl a break.
Well, it's just one of those things. You need them to win the game.
Oh, good try from Howie. I don't expect it from Susan. She's 100%. Pullman, Doran. And here's Beveridge. Oh, short. Oh, make that a pass.
Just too casual.
I'll tell you what, Beveridge and Howell get a few offensive rebounds. They take up good position when a teammate's shooting, and that's good to see. Here's Tier, though. (24-12), and we've had 2.5 minutes of play in the second. Whoa. That was nearly an interesting one between Howell and Illich. Pullman placed it in well for Beveridge. And Olivia finds another. 24-13. So we're 3-all, early stages of the second quarter.
Which is pretty well how the game started between the two sides. Tasmania able to run for 5 minutes with the more experienced Victorian. Just things opening up through the middle section of the third.
Belinda Vinan pulls in a good one for Tasmania to get them going. And I think they got to 4-all in the first quarter, and then Victoria put on 3 or 4 unanswered goals and took control of the first 15 minutes. Here's Bryant. O'Donnell. Noise you might hear in the background is an under-21 match in progress on another court. Big test for this venue, holding the national championships here for the first time, and I think it's handled it pretty well. Back out to Doran. Pullman. Oh, that ball meant for Howell.
Well, Howell was undecided as to what to offer. She thought about putting up the hold, then tried to come off onto the ball, but it wasn't a strong, clear indication to the feeders. Victoria very quick to open things up through the mid-court. They really can make ground with some speed.
Howie has it. Bryant and Tier. And Victoria have a 26-13. So at one end of the court, under 21s, one end of the complex, I should say, and then down to our match. Into the big scoreboard that has the lineups on it and reinforced glass. So the ball's hit that at pace many a time, and it's withstood the test.
It's good because the food's on the other side of that.
Hungry players have been known to crash into that.
You fib up.
Howie to Bryant. So 5 minutes into the second quarter, and it's 27-13 as Victoria maintain this 2-to-1 scoring ratio. Noblet looking for Bullman. Chocolate, Bullman.
Well, the screen offered back in the circle by Howe, who's trying to give some space to put Beveridge on strike to the post. This time it opens for Howe herself.
And once again, Beveridge wins the rebound contest, and when you do that against Illich, you know you've done it right.
And the success rate for Beveridge, 10 from 12, so 83%, and 3 offensive rebounds. That's a really great stat. So she's earning a keep, Olivia Beveridge for Tasmania.
(28-14) as a loose ball presents Victoria with another chance, and penalties 21-11 against Tasmania. And Tasmania taken 2 intercepts to Victoria's 1. And the turnovers, well, Tassie guilty of 9 more. Howie, Bryant. And that's off the foot of Shelley O'Donnell, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was not a great ball in the first place, but it just fell short of the foot. I was waiting for her to smile, but she wouldn't even give us that pleasure.
Another kick from Essendon, is it? Howell looks for something. Pullman backing up, and Howell at the post.
Brings up Howell's 5th.
Doran, Beveridge. Bullman, and it's one against Vivian for causing on Bullman. Howell, long range, and a good one.
That's his 2nd of the quarter, so Howell a little slow to warm to the task in the 2nd quarter, but now coming through with the goods.
Here's Tier, back to Howie. Tier staying outside, leaving 2-on-1 on Bryant. Now they've broken up that defensive pattern. Tier to the other side. And Tier shoots over Noblet successfully.
Brings up number 14 for Abby Tier, 14 from 16. So like Olivia Beveridge, both in great form in goals tonight.
And one against Beveridge off the ball. Vivian to O'Donnell. Tier, and Victoria making noticeably easier work of getting down court, Anne.
Yeah, they're using the space as well. I was just noticing that was a lovely change of direction from Abby Tier. She noticed that Bryant already had the drive to the far side of the court, so she came off the lead and offered something different. So options there for Victoria. That combined with their speed and power makes them hard to beat. And we suspect perhaps changes to come at half-time, both to freshen legs, and we hope to introduce Eloise Southby to the competition.
Bryant with the shot. Make it 32-16 and restoring that 2-1 ratio. 16 and 16 still make 32, don't they?
Yep.
Okay, good. Bullman, Beveridge. And that's off Victorian hands, so Howell left that with reason.
A combination then, though, of not a great disposal of the ball, but also the positioning not good, because it left nowhere really to feed the pass.
Doran. And it ends up in the hands of Harrison.
That was fraught with danger. Both shooters initially offered away from the ball and really didn't attack. And then Howell got on her hold far too early, which gave the Victorian defenders ample time to get off the body and get the touch, which is just what Janine Illich did.
O'Donnell takes it to the transverse line. It's quickly with Tier. Howie, Bryant.
And Steve, you can't but notice how different this game is to the battle between South Australia and New South Wales. So if Victoria continue to take this match, they really haven't had an easier run into the final than have South Australia.
Pretty empty Tasmanian bench there, warming up a couple of players, I'd suggest, perhaps to come on in the second half.
And the Victorians too warming up for Southby.
So 20 ahead as half-time approaches. Bullman, Beveridge. and Doran. Tracy Bullman, and sliding along the baseline is Beveridge, just past Illich. Or a rare miss for Olivia. It's O'Donnell. Bryant to Tier. Howie used strength there really to block Bullman out. She's got a bit of size on her. And 38-17 Victoria. So we're going to have a new champion regardless of who wins this match, because New South Wales aren't going to appear in the final tomorrow.
No, the best they can hope for is third place. And that, of course, we played that match against the loser of this semi. For Tassie, though, the rise will be incredible, finishing 7th last year. They could rise to number 1. 2, 3 or 4.
Beveridge. And 2 minutes to go in the second quarter. Victoria sitting on a 39-17 lead as Harrison drives up court, finds Bryant. Cross court is O'Donnell, stands there like a rock. And Bryant finishes well. And they use the width of the court well, Victoria. And back into Bryant, having gone through O'Donnell. Bryant. And now Victoria improving on their 2-to-1 ratio as it gets out to 41-17. A little over a minute to go in the second. Bullman to Doran, skirting away from Howie. Howell and Beveridge.
Howell tried to offer the screen then so that Beveridge could drive the base, but Beveridge had other ideas.
Illich to Harrison. Bullman gets a touch, but Howie has it. O'Donnell without a name on her back. I think we all know who she is.
She's daring us.
Who is that girl that plays wing attack for Australia? Yeah.
Oh, good touch from Noblet. A couple of the Tasmanian players have made it through to Australian squad level. Fiona Doran, the most experienced on court, was part of the Australian 21 and under side. So some national honours at squad level and at talent ID level coming through Tasmania's own talent ranks.
Nice touch from Bullman as it finishes with Howell, and she completes for 42-18. Timekeeper gets up.
Nice cross-court pass there from Beveridge. Picks up Howell, and she double plays to get better position.
That's all there'll be in the second quarter. But, Victoria continuing to keep Tasmania at arm's length, and at the long break they've got a 24-goal lead. It's 42-18 to Victoria. Stats look pretty good for Victoria. They've only conceded 14 penalties to Tasmania's 31 and 8 turnovers to Tassie's 19. They've put up 50 attempts and lead at 42-18. Tasmania with a lot to do in the second half. And both teams have made changes. The lineups look quite different as we get set for the second half. Tasmania in possession, and Tracy Bullman gets Tasmania going forward. They've moved Olivia Beveridge from goal attack to goal shooter. More about the changes in a moment, and take us through those shooting stats.
Just looking at the shooting stats for Victoria, Abby Tier, it's 90%, 18 from 20, and Jocelyn Bryant, 24 from 30 at 80%. So sharing an 85% accuracy between them is a great stat for Victoria. For Tasmania, a little disappointing from Danielle Howe with 7 from 13 at 53%. We've seen her oscillate between 40 and 50 throughout that first half. But Olivia Beveridge was their in-form shooter, just a couple of misses against her. So Hence, she's retained her position for the start of this third quarter.
Got a glimpse of John Fletcher, who made the following changes. He's put Beveridge at goal shooter. Fiona Morse comes on at goal attack for Tasmania, and they've left the mid-court intact, but Amber Large comes on at goalkeeper to replace Belinda Vinan. And on the Victorian side of things, Eloise Southby is on, but at this defensive end, we've got the Garbett on for Illich at goalkeeper. Nick Richardson is the centre, replacing Susan Howie. There she is, feeding Southby, who's been pretty unwell all week and unable to eat, really.
They haven't been feeding Southby.
They haven't been feeding Southby.
We've been told she's had 3 strings of pasta and a glass of water in preparation for this game, so that's all there is. Jane Searle, the Victorian coach, who's been Australian apprentice coach, hasn't she? She has, yes, indeed. And, of course, represented Australia, was a key defender in the 80s, 83 World Championship side. Eloise Southby on camera now, puts up a shot. And, of course, Southby, arguably one of the contenders for Australian honours in the near future. She's a squad member, champion shooter for the Melbourne Phoenix side. Has not been a well girl this week. Harrison, Vivian, and Richardson. See, they've got some depth on their bench, Victoria, and they can bring on Southby and Richardson and Garbett. And they'd be first-choice players in plenty of other teams. Southby would be if she was 100% fit. So this is Amber Large into Noblet, Doran, Chocolate. Just thinking, bearing in mind one of these teams will play South Australia tomorrow for the Open title, that ball thrown across the transverse line would have been eaten by a Harvey. Beveridge had a good first half for Tasmania and continuing the work. 45-20 though, Victoria. 3 minutes gone in the third. Tia. And with Southby having been unwell for a couple of days, I doubt Abby has had much time working with Ella Southby. No, that would be the case. But I don't think it's going to trouble them today. No, immediately they slotted in quite nicely together. Abby Tia is a nice space maker, as is Southby, so you'd expect them to be able to read each other's moves nicely. And I think Southby, having been ill, will be quite happy to sit back and play second fiddle and second offer on most of the moves. Tia, Southby, O'Donnell, smart ball. And Tia doesn't disappoint the skipper, slots it home for 47-21. Brings up number 20 for Abby Tia, 20 from 22 as O'Donnell reads the play well, puts it beyond the defender. Abby Tia finishing it off. Doran places one in for the advantage of Beveridge. .25 Victoria's lead. It was 24 at half-time. O'Donnell to Southby. Richardson. Oof. Tia. And Tasmanian ball. Southby doesn't look 100% happy out there. We had a very brief word with her during the warm-up. She wasn't confident about her ability to go the distance in a full match. Most of which we can't disclose. That's right. She does look quite pale, though, doesn't she? Yeah. Important, though, I think she tries to get some court time and work through it. Sometimes you just need to be up and on your feet, and the rest of it falls into place. But well, Jane Searle would love to have her fit tomorrow. Southby, will she be in the final? The team looks like it will be. 5 minutes gone in the third, and it's 24 the lead, make that 23. Beveridge doing a great job trying to keep Tasmania in this. And not afraid to shoot from longish range. It's a kind bounce off the ring. Now Southby.
see a smile from it. Small crowd stayed after the South Australian semi-final.
As you said earlier, most have been across on the far court watching New South Wales and Victoria contest a semi-final in the 21 and under division. Can't tell you the result on that one, except that it was 17-8 to New South Wales early in the match, and then my understanding was it run into about 2 or 3 the difference just before the end. So it's just finished now.
Beveridge. Morse shut out by the strong bodywork of Garbutt, but Donna Davies had something to say about that. Tasmanian penalty, but away come Victoria again.
Great ball.
Oh, no.
Scooped it up with
what
the
a goal.
Scooped it up with the mitt at Nikki Richardson.
They've got no right to score like that. That was a fantastic piece of skill from several Victorian players here. Richardson the pass. Tier.
Let's have another look at it. It's swept in well by O'Donnell, who throws it almost too far for Nikki Richardson, but she really delivers it well from the ground. And Victoria really giving us not many clues as to who they'll start in tomorrow's final. Unless we see Tier leave the game and perhaps Bryant have a touch with Southby. You've also got Garbutt and Lynch a strong chance to open at the back line. But I think Jane Searle both resting players and disguising the line a little. South Australia a little more predictable.
Richardson. One going against Heather Noblet, so Tier takes the step, takes the goal.
Abby Tier, 23 from 26, has put in a fine performance in goals.
I think so. I think that's ordinary.
Shabby thing.
Yeah.
Well, it's John Fletcher looking a little concerned.
Well, he's very proud of his team. They've done good things in the Victorian State League. Tasmania playing in that, and they've got to the top 4 here. Tasmanian netball looks to be on the move. They would love, in the longer term, to get a team in the National League, I'm sure. Bullman, Beveridge. And Jane Searle on the clock, on the score. And she needn't have too many worries about either at this stage. Southby, Richardson. Southby a little worried about that shot as it left her hand, but it crawled through, and 52-26. Little grimace. My tummy's grumbling. You can almost hear it from here.
She's probably used up those 3 strands of pasta already.
I don't think that's carbohydrate loading, is it? It's actually 3 strands of pasta.
Oh, ambitious ball from Tier. Really didn't give Southby much of a chance.
Yeah, picked off by Large. And Amber has it. Now Doran. Back to Chocolate. Morse, Doran. And Richardson takes one. Tier.
Victoria just waiting till they had the numbers, but now Richardson joins the fleet, and it's pretty smart since she's been on. Playing a tough game, Nicole Richardson through centre. We're more used to her watching the back, playing a defensive role. Southby with 5 from 6 at 83% has ended the game well, and Abby Tier has maintained brilliant consistency. She's been sitting around 88-90% for the match.
She's earned dinner.
More strands of pasta.
Beveridge. Oh, that really sat there.
Beveridge brings up her 21st, 21 from 27, and Tasmania's 28. Just has to think about it, this one, but has enough to fall in.
Southby gets landed upon. Got the red light from Amber.
Oh, please.
Oh, police.
Oh, please.
Doran, Bullman. Morse looking for Beveridge, but only finding blue shirts in the way. O'Donnell to Tier. O'Donnell to Richardson. Lots of movement. Tia. Oh, taken out of the hands by Ambalage, and away come Tasmania again. Oh, Doran, good take.
Well, just for a moment, Tasmania had the numbers in the circle, but they let themselves off the hook. Morse coming out to join the feeders, and that allowed the Victorians to put themselves back into a 2-on-2 situation.
And Morse it is who finally puts it away.
That's her first, since she's entered the game, her first of the quarter, 1 from 2 for Fiona Morse. So it's been a long while coming, and Tasmania continue to have one shooter that they can find and who is on target. The second one really not pulling their weight in the shooting department, at least.
And comes in for Morse. And 54-30, so Tasmania have done something about that 2-1 margin that Victoria have enjoyed for most of the match. They've got under that now. And infringement up court. In fact, it's in the circle, so Southby can shoot. How's she looking? Okay. Maybe a run will do her some good. I don't know what fixes an upset tummy. After a while, you start to wonder, don't you? You don't eat, you don't do anything.
I think the lethargy is a really big part of it. I think just getting back into some sort of work ethic and then requiring food is a big part.
At least half a game might give her an appetite.
Well, let's face it, a shabby Eloise Southby is not too bad to have, is it?
No. Morse, Doran, Bullman, Morse gets the signal and can't shoot one away. 2 minutes to go in the third, 55-30.
Just looking at the matches we referred to earlier, Tasmania against New South Wales, the margin 54 and the margin against South Australia at 45. Well, Victoria are not on track to that type of margin, so either Tassie have really lifted their effort for this match, or Victoria is off the pace of the other two. But I think we'll have a significantly closer match, despite that steal from Richardson.
Yeah. Read that very nicely. Well, yeah, and it's hard to read much into those margins when the changes you see Victoria not had their best lineup.
Richardson reading the play well, steadies, just a single-handed offload, rolls it a la 10-pin, but off the ground to Southby.
Little over a minute to go in the third. Tasmania with it. Morse. Cross court to Chocolate. Beverage. Oh, I hadn't thought of that one. Chocolate Beverage.
I know, I was about to say, you're making me hungry. Are you doing it deliberately?
I've assiduously avoided making any puns about Natasha's surname because I'm sure she's had it lifelong, but when you have to say Chocolate Beverage. Anyway, Tia.
It's a delicious name, one way or the other.
Oh, get out. Doran. Bullman looking for, oh, that could have been nasty for Olivia Beveridge. He's okay.
Richardson just holds it up to allow the attack to put something out.
Richardson leisurely chases after it. Southby rolls around to the post, finds herself in plenty of space.
Puts up her 9th for the match, 9 from 11, Eloise Southby in this third quarter.
Just about run out of time in the third as the ball is held up for a moment, and so is time. Comes back to Nick Richardson, who will delay taking the centre as long as she can. And gets away with it. Just stood there. Ball under the arm and got away with it too. And at three-quarter time, it's Victoria doing the business, doing what they have to secure a place in the final, and they lead it 58-31. 15 minutes to go in the second semi. Victoria get going first of all, Anne.
Yeah, the stats so far. Eloise Southby entering the game for Victoria at goal shooter at half-time. Put in a great third quarter with 9 from 11. So while she might be feeling great, the radar's still working at 83%. Abby Tier continued with great accuracy at 86%. For Tasmania, Beveridge moved to goal shooter, and she has dropped a little across the match, but still reasonable form there with 22 from 30. Fiona Morse took almost 12 minutes to score her first goal in that third quarter. She also came on at half-time for Tasmania. She put up 2 from 3.
It looks like, oh no, Beveridge still at goal shooter, that's right, and Morse at goal attack. The changes for Victoria, they've rejigged their defensive line, but 21-10 the Victorians won the first quarter, and 21-8 the second, but only 16-13 the third. They took the foot off the pedal a little bit, I think. They know they've got this match in hand. So 2 21-goal quarters really set up the win for Victoria. Let's see what Tasmania can do in the final stanza, though. Doran leaves it for Borman. Doran in to Morse. And Stacey Crane on just to confirm the new lineup for Victoria for the last 15 minutes. Stacey Crane on at goalkeeper, and Garbutt has moved forward to goal defence, and Anne Harrison from goal defence to wing defence. So Melanie Vivian is off. Tier, O'Donnell, Tier. Stacey Crane. Melbourne Phoenix defender. Saw a fair bit of court time this year with the injury to Liz Taverner. She and Harrison sharing it.
Yes, and I think both putting in solid performances. Stacey, a very experienced campaigner, and her big heart never disappoints when given the opportunity to perform, and I thought she relished the chances she was given by Norma Plummer.
Penalties 2-1 against Tasmania. Intercepts, Tassie actually taking 3 more, which is a nice stat for them, but the turnovers don't look quite so handsome. They've conceded 30 to Victoria's 18.
And that turnover stat, perhaps more so than the intercepts one, that indicates the pressure of defence in the match.
12:20 to go. 63-31. Southby looks okay. Even a bit of colour in the cheeks. Tasmania giving 100% here right throughout. And that's one off the ball against Tasmania. Can't really afford to do that.
I went against Fiona Morse for using the elbow and pushing off towards the ball. Garbutt holds it up, tries to connect with one of the shooters, but Southby just a little slow in offering the lead.
It's got to come back. And Chocolate takes it quickly on the door, and
Garbutt winds up the arm, but good defence there from Amber Large, who really ran it down and held Southby out of contention.
Garbutt's down and gets up a little sore on it. Morse, oh, really pushed that one. Through it goes. Needed a bit more and got it there. So 63-32, 11 to go.
That was nice timing then from Victoria. Sweet offload from Southby to keep it alive and moving quickly. And that really had the heads turning in the Tasmanian backline.
I think this performance by Victoria might pose Jane Searle more questions than it's answered. You know, she's got a team of great depth and a lot of, well, equal ability on paper. It's a hard team for her to choose, I'm sure.
It's not very apparent who the heirs will be to the McInnes and the McMahon dilemmas. Abby Tier putting in a fine performance. Perhaps we'll see her start. Although Jocelyn Bryan, as we said earlier, has the experience on her and has teamed up previously with Southby.
And of course, Victoria have not played, as you mentioned, South Australia through the tournament, so it doesn't give either coach much of an idea of who goes well on whom, except through other experience, through National League. Doran, Ballman.
And I think that remains one of the puzzles of whether the draw works or not, and there's been a little bit of debate about it, more so from teams that are on the losing end of it. But some teams will come away from these nationals having played each other twice and others will come away having never played each other, and you wonder whether that is a good measure, state to state, of the status quo.
It's partly the result of them trying to condense the competition, isn't it? It was felt the Nationals were too long. They're looking for a different format, and that's understandable. Maybe we haven't quite got it right yet, but it's worth continuing with, I'm sure.
I think it's highlighted too by things such as South Australia coming into it being seeded 4th from last year. Just looking at Abby Tear's stats, 30 from 35 at 85% accuracy. So she's earned her keep in the Victorian camp as Richardson swings it nicely to O'Donnell in the pocket.
50 minutes of netball, and Tear's only given away 1 penalty as well, so she's a player of some discipline. 67-33.
O'Donnell puts it via the floorboards, and the double play between Tear and O'Donnell gives them good position. Abby Tear blossoming from the expertise at the Australian Institute of Sport, and of course under the guidance of some great Victorian coaches. Olivia Beveridge at 65% has put up 23 from 35.
And has probably been under a fair bit more pressure than Abby Tear, and has conceded a few more penalties perhaps as a result.
She's had the load of work in the shooting department for Tasmania, as we've mentioned several times throughout the match.
Southby, Richardson to Tear. I think perhaps and the Victorian team reflecting what's been the case with Melbourne Phoenix is, you know, they've got shooters that they can really share the load through. Bryant, Tear or Southby are all able to take an equal load.
I think
a la McMahon and Southby.
Well, we've often said in National League or this event, you can't win the events unless you have 2 striking shooters. And it's been proven time and time again. We saw in the match South Australia, New South Wales at times having only 1 shooter putting them up. The team that wins will have 2 that can produce it.
Tasmania come away. Chocolate, now Doran, and into Beveridge.
Well, some great fast break play from Tasmania down court then. They just needed the finish in goals, and that's where they're struggling under the pressure from Crane and Garbett.
Doran, the captain.
In fact, the pressure's been sustained by Victoria. Just the faces are different quarter to quarter back in that defence circle.
And it's Beveridge again. 68-36, halfway through the final quarter. Tasmania still putting out plenty. Morse, Bullman, and that's against Stacey Crane.
Well, that was really a bit more of a jerky sort of action from Fiona Morse. Really just pushed it rather than extended.
Southby gets a little closer, courtesy of the ump on that side, Donna Davey and Jackie Jashari. Done a good job in this semi-final. O'Donnell, well-placed ball for Southby. Over the top of the keeper, Amber Large. And Southby now, what, 14 from 16?
I look at stats in the high 80s as a pleasing sight, or will be for Jane Searle. Both shooters on target.
And sometimes the public has no idea of what an injury or an illness a player might be working through, and to come up with stats like that is probably, you know, that's an outstanding performance really when we know she's not 100%.
Now, and particularly with the shooting action being so frequent and that extension of your abdominal area, because you really do have to pull up from there and open the shoulders to get a good shooting technique. And she'll be a little tired after it, but I think she'll be better for having gone through the exercise and more ready for the campaign of contesting a national title.
13-6, Victoria lead this last quarter as a hungry Crane goes after it. But, it's a turnover, and Tasmania look to punish. Oh, good hands from Morse to Beveridge, and well finished.
Well, we won't deny them the goal, but it came from an offside effort from Noblet.
No.
Yes, true, right in front of me.
So.
Please don't write in from Tasmania. I'm as delighted as you with their performance, but first intercept came from Victoria's Stacey Crane, and then the reply came from Noblet, and whilst it was good, she did fall into that third.
Guess I'll have to believe you. Our faultless statistician Jenny has agreed with you.
Yeah, it's 2-1 here on the sideline.
I'm in a lot of trouble. 5 to go, and it's Tassie 72-38 on their way to the final against South Australia. Beveridge. And Garbutt pulls it down. Garbo to her mates.
It's a filthy nickname.
Oh, dear. Greta didn't think so. O'Donnell. Having a dip as a wing defence. Natasha Chocolate couldn't quite. Oh,
well, great effort from Amber Large. Stuck to a task. It was half-hearted, the challenge from Abby Tier, and Tasmania made it pay. And look at that beautiful open pathway to the post.
And Morse finishes. A great run from Tasmania.
And Large goes up, commits herself. The backup comes from Noblet. And it's strong work from Tasmania in the dying moments of the semi-final. So they won't come away with the win, but they've got a lot of pride there in the camp for a fine performance.
Tier, Southby. Oh, great hands from O'Donnell. And it through Southby to Tier and tapped out. First to it is Bullman. Tasmania finishing with 100% effort.
I'm just going to say they'll be replaying the last few minutes over and over again in Tasmania. Bit of fight there in the camp.
Well, it's nice to get them on television. It's a historic effort from them, getting to the top 4. And Bullman into Morse. That's a better shot. He throws her head back. And Sargent having the Kuala Lumpur cough. I've got it too. I tell you what, a lot of people went to the Commonwealth Games, come back with it.
And how many people had laryngitis?
Oh, shock. Anyway.
Not a good thing if you're a caller.
And we're 74-40. Doran. And Beveridge. And it's with Bullman. It's with 2 minutes to go. And 74-41. Tier. Tasmania's centre pass. And looking for number 42 here through Beveridge. She knows it's
been going so well this week. I mean, finishing in the top 4, that's the best ever. And so obviously we knew they were kind of going to come out hard, and we had to be ready for it. And they stuck with us for a while, and then we just managed to pull away at the end.
Well, full credit to Tassie, but you certainly were the better side on the day. And you've seen the lineup swing throughout the match. You're not giving us any hints for tomorrow's starting 7, are you?
No, we're certainly not. Obviously, South Australia and New South Wales, they had a great tussle earlier. We didn't care who we were going to play. We haven't played either of them this week, which is really strange. Usually we've played them before we meet them in the finals. But we've watched a fair amount of them, and I think that, you know, the girls we've built through the week, and I think we haven't really decided on the combination ourselves, so we'll have to think about that tonight.
Well, favouritism does rest with South Australia, rightly or wrongly. What will it take to beat them tomorrow in front of a home crowd?
A lot of guts and determination, I think, and we just need our shots to be going through, and I think that the percentages are really good tonight and last night, so we're looking to have a great match tomorrow night. We
look forward to that too. Congratulations on today. Good luck for tomorrow, Shelley.
Thanks, Anne.
So a solid and I guess widely predicted win for Victoria, but congratulations to Tasmania making it through to the semi-finals. Now tomorrow it's an absolute smorgasbord of court sport on the ABC, starting with the under-21